We here at Bucketology wish you guys a happy new year and to more great basketball in 2023, and we must start the year off by giving credit where credit is due. Mr. Jacques Vaughn, I tip my hat. Man, Steve Nash really must have been a terrible coach. It's weird that this is happening with an interim. I remember when Steve Nash was fired, all of these rumors circulating about Ime Udoka potentially becoming the next head coach of this team. This was a possibility that looked imminent. I was almost certain this was going to happen. Yeah, we're so far away from that. Jacques Vaughn is cementing his case near the halfway point of the season for Coach of the Year with an incredible 22-7 record. That is fantastic stuff. The Brooklyn Nets have won 11 games in a row. They have won 15 out of their last 16, and they have snuck into the second seed in the Eastern Conference with momentum, with no reason to slow down. We can take a look at their schedule right here and see what the future's looking like for this team. And you got some easy games here in this next stretch. I mean, your next game is against San Antonio, so it should almost certainly be a 12 streak, playing in Chicago. My Chicago Bulls, specifically Zach LaVine, we brought it to the Nets earlier in the season. They're going to be desperate for revenge in this game, but we might be playing spoilers. Break this streak, end this thing at 12. If not, this team has to go play in New Orleans, which is going to be a test. Either way, regardless of what happens before this game, this is going to be a marquee matchup. Kyrie and KD against Zion and the Pelicans, who are on fire right now. But let's talk about the Brooklyn Nets, and specifically where this team is headed. Do we take a team like this seriously? What's up with the lack of media coverage? I feel like we're not even hearing about this. I feel like people just found out the Nets were playing good by seeing they were on a 10 streak the other day. Oh, they're on a 10-game win streak. No one really knew that was going on. Yeah, a lot of these wins in here, I mean, they started the win streak off with some pretty light games, but a bunch of road games and then tougher teams as you build momentum and you beat up on the Bucks going into Cleveland and getting really a statement win. This game, the score is closer than the game actually was. And then since then, barely squeaking by Atlanta. And then, of course, cakewalk victory against the Charlotte Hornets. But there's a credit to the team for beating up on bad teams, because a lot of teams in this league can't do that. There's no looking past these easy games. It's just take care of business every night. KD and Kyrie and company are doing that. And we're going to take a look at the components that build this team into what it is, and if we should really be taking this team seriously. Because prior to this year, I thought on paper, you just look at the roster, you just look at the depth and the amount of talent on this team. The idea is if you have the right coach, if you get the players to buy in, if everything goes according to plan and the team plays team ball, this team should be as good as any team in the Eastern Conference. The thing is, of course, probability of this, in my mind and so many others, was near zero. Kyrie is going to come and play a full season, and KD, who just requested a trade, is going to play great team ball. They're going to coexist with Steve Nash. Now, of course, the Steve Nash thing, if they don't get him out of there, who knows what's going on with this team right now. But they were able to turn their entire season around, not only thanks to the great play of these two guys, and Kyrie really coming into his own after the whole Amazon film drama, getting suspended. We didn't even know what his role with the Nets was going to be. There was so much unnecessary off the court noise that was driving this team into the ground, and they have emerged from this and gone storming into other teams' arenas like gangbusters. Really, it's been incredibly impressive. This is the best team ball I've seen this team play, probably in the entire tenure of KD and Kyrie, because bringing James Harden over to this team, yes, it gives this team a greater value of star players, no doubt. It's not necessarily as team oriented. It's not necessarily the prototypical, unselfish coach's dream of a team. And this is more like that. The bench guys are more involved. The team camaraderie is better. You're not surviving off of star power by itself. Of course, Kevin Durant has been an MVP candidate. He's been as good as anybody this NBA season. And Kyrie Irving, like I said, he's looked like Kyrie during this hot streak, these last 15 or so games, after a pretty slow start. And then we can talk about the other role guys on this team and their contributions. But my main point of emphasis for this team is the way that they play together, the way that they play for one another, and this is the way that this team can make a deep playoff run. If we see a team that plays for each other, that resembles this team, if we don't see them hit another level of adversity that they can't get past, this could be a dangerous team for anybody. Even the Boston Celtics, who have had no trouble with the Nets. The playoffs last year, in the meeting earlier this year, but this Brooklyn Nets team is completely different. Not only do you add Ben Simmons in, Ben Simmons is not playing a role where he has to carry a burden that he's not ready for. Him and Seth Curry can can serve as alternative ball handlers to KD and Kyrie. Seth Curry and TJ Warren, who's come back, who everybody forgot about. Great piece of this team's bench. Two guys that can get a bucket off the dribble, create offense. Joe Harris allegedly is a great three-point shooter, and we'll see what happens with him. But even if he still hasn't figured out his jumper, you have other guys that can knock down these shots, like the guys I just said. And of course, Yuta Watanabe. Been awesome role player for this team. 3-and-D guy, especially just an absolute sniper, shooting over 50% from the three-point line this year. Absolutely remarkable stuff. And there's Royce O'Neal, who's a great connecting player. Guy doesn't have to take a lot of shots, but he makes the right play. He's been able to shoot the ball really well this year, a lot better than I thought he would, and take certain defensive assignments. Great glue guy for this team, especially playing with stars and just knowing his role. And then of course Claxton in the paint, who has been excellent, deterring shots, being that interior presence. Brooklyn Nets blocking the most shots in the league. Kevin Durant has been a monster on the defensive end of the floor, an area he still does not get the credit that he deserves for. He has been all around amazing MVP candidate, type of guy that you can win a championship with as a #1 guy. And when you take a look at the criterion required to win a championship, this team that's playing right now, I can't really see a weakness in that regard. Now, of course, playoff basketball is completely different, but these guys have been there, especially your premier guys, KD and Kyrie. If they have to play the ISO ball, we know they love to do that. The more they stick to their team concept and get their teammates involved, the better this team will be. But if they get into situations where they need to be ISO heavy, ISO centric, play a lot of one-on-one, end of a basketball game, who's taking the last shot, this team's got two guys that can take and make any shot in a basketball court. Now, my thing with this team is that I do not trust Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving as individual players necessarily when things matter the most, or at least when things get toughest. I'll say it like that. When you hit real adversity, when you're getting punched in the mouth, yeah, these two guys, they are individually phenomenal players. What I know about Kevin Durant is he had to go join Golden State to win rings, to make his legacy look better than it actually was. I don't know if he has what it takes. He has not proven that he has what it takes to play in the NBA Finals and to win that championship series as the #1 guy, carrying a team like this. It's a little bit different when you don't have Steph Curry on your team and company and the greatest team of all time. Kyrie Irving's another guy that has just had a lot of flameouts in the playoffs in recent years. The year where he got hurt versus the Bucks, that was the best that he had played in the playoffs in the last several years. Otherwise, he's been pretty disappointing when we've gotten into these really tough series where we need to see the best out of Kyrie. A lot of times he just doesn't have the legs to shoot that deep three-point shot, create shots from outside that three-point line, the same way that he can during the season. This team is bought in, first of all, to their coach, Jacques Vaughn. Gotta say it again. You got KD and Kyrie playing team ball, being team leaders, really caring about their teammates, and not just dribble, ISOing all game and playing a really not fun style of basketball. Everybody's getting involved. It's the most, like I said, that I've seen the Brooklyn Nets really embody a true basketball team rather than KD and Kyrie and everybody else. So that's going to do it for me. Let me know what you guys think about the Brooklyn Nets. There's a lot to love here when it comes to the really deep rounds of the playoffs. When it comes to playing the best teams in the league, I don't know if I can trust this team. They're hotter than anybody. I want to see what happens next time they play the Celtics. That's going to do it. Let me know what you guys think about the Brooklyn Nets, and I'm out. Peace.